I'd like to welcome you all to the CRP Automotive booth here at APEX 2023. This is Mark Malone, our Pennison Brand Director. We've got Joe Hansen, our AAE Brand Director, and I'm David Hirschhorn, the Rhine Automotive Brand Director. Let's take you for a quick spin.
Hello, I'm Mark Malone, the Pennison Brand Director at CRP at this year's APEX. I'd like to introduce some of our new products. This year, and the number one product, is our EDF2. Our EDF2 is an award-winning product at this year's Import Products Marketing Awards. It is for the Tesla. It is a cooling fluid for the gearbox. Another product that we've introduced this year is the ATF64. The ATF64 is also for Tesla, but for the dry gearbox. This year, in addition to the EV Ready products, we have some new products. We have the Dexos One Generation 3 0W20. We have the Dexos One Generation 3 5W30. Also this year, we're introducing the ATF 134 Plus for the Mercedes 5 and 7 speeds. We have an ATF 8, which is EV ready. That means that it has hybrid applications. And we have the FFL 7A for the mini electric applications. This year is our 40th anniversary at CRP Industries having the Pennison brand. Our number one SKU, still to this day, and that was the very first part we brought to the USA, was the CHF 11S. Used widely in all BMW and Audi and Porsche, it is one of the best moving SKUs even to this day. That is it for Pennison, new products this year. Now let's take it over to AAE.
Hi, my name is Joe Hansen and I'm the brand director here at CRP Automotive for the AAE power steering line. At AAE, we are a full line power steering supplier for hydraulic and electronic steering. We specialize in brand new power steering pumps, brand new gearboxes, new and reman hydraulic steering racks, and a complete line of reman electronic steering racks and pumps. One of the things we're trying to do at CRP is we're trying to sell power steering pumps as kits that come complete with the reservoirs. A lot of power steering pumps have remote reservoirs, which typically have filters inside of them. I've cut open a filter so you can see inside there they have screens, and a lot of times they're very fine kind of mesh screens, and these act as filters for the power steering system. So when your power steering pump or your rack fails, it's really smart to change the filter, which is the remote reservoir, with the replacement of the rack or the steering pump. This particular kit, we're able to take a brand new power steering pump, a brand new reservoir that includes a filter. We've also upgraded the pulley. The OEM pulley is a phenolic plastic pulley that tends to chip and crack and break when you change it. We've upgraded it to aluminum. And then this kit is also special because it includes hardware to mount the pump to the vehicle, which in this case BMW uses aluminum one-use hardware, which you're supposed to change every time you unbolt it. So this is a nice kit that includes all those things. We have about 80 to 90 kits in our line today, and we're going to continue to add coverage to those lines. So we always recommend changing the reservoir with the filter. New gearboxes, we have a pretty complete line of new gearboxes as well. It's going to get most of your coverage in new, not reman, with no cores. New steering rack program, over 200 part numbers in that program. This particular one we think is unique because it's the first one we've been able to do with a Servotronic unit that's brand new as well. If you're familiar with a lot of European applications, BMWs, Land Rovers, Audis, Mercedes, they have Servotronic units, which is a little solenoid that helps with the parking assist on these type of vehicles. But new unit comes complete with the solenoid as well, which a lot of the reman units won't include the solenoid. Anytime we sell a power steering pump, when possible and when it makes sense, we try to include the pulley, we try to include the return pipe, and in this case it has a sensor, so we're going to include the sensor too. So a lot of times your reman won't include those extra things, so we try to make sure we have them when you buy a new pump. This particular case, the reservoir is integral to the pump assembly, it's attached to it, so this case we sell with the pulley, with the reservoir, and with the sensor as well. We also have reman electronic power steering pumps. These are hydroelectric pumps, so it's a hydraulic system in the car, but it uses a pump that's electronic rather than being driven from a pulley off of the crankshaft. We have about 15 SKUs in the line, which covers almost all the the vehicle coverage for these types of vehicles. We have them in new and in brand new OEM or in reman. Reman power steering, electronic power steering racks. This is a cutaway, so you can see some of the intricacies of these racks. For example, there's a belt in this particular one which is under very specific tension, has to be put back together perfectly. You can see the pinion, the way it comes in and how it attaches to the rack bar and all. This would be a fully integrated rack, meaning the electronics and everything is integral to the rack. This type of rack is still an electronic rack, but it's not as smart as that one in the sense that there is a motor and electronics, but it's the source of the electronics is elsewhere. It outputs to this motor as well. This particular one is for a Subaru. We have some Audis and some additional European coverage in the line. We're the first to market with the European coverage, and they've been selling really well for us. This is an example of a Ford TRW style rack, which we also do really well with. This is a rack for a Ford Transit Connect. It's a TRW style rack. We have a complete line of them as well. So now I'm going to turn you over to David, who's our brand director for the Rhine product line.
Thanks a lot, Joe. All right, so along with all the normal parts you're used to seeing with Rhine Automotive, such as coolant hoses that have quick connect fittings, branches for European vehicles, plastic pipes that have quick connect fittings and are either for the breather system of the vehicle or cooling system, like this one for Teslas, or hose assemblies for the power steering system or the turbo system of the vehicle, we've got some new parts that I really want to talk about. The first is this aluminum oil filter housing for BMW vehicles. This one's really cool because the OEM design is made of plastic. This one that we have our suppliers make is made out of aluminum that's going to offer a much longer service life than the OE. One of the big problems they have is that the channels around the gaskets are known for breaking as the plastic ages. Not going to be a problem with the aluminum one. The other parts I want to discuss are some of the kits that we've developed over the last year. And the cool thing we're doing about kits is that we're building them based on the repair needed for the vehicle rather than just the parts that are manufactured. So we start out with some turbocharger installation kits. These kits include all the hardware, all the gaskets, as well as the hoses you need to properly install a turbocharger. You can choose whether you get it from a reman, an OE, or from a trusted supplier. These kits are going to do what you need to install the turbocharger correctly. From there, we'll go to our timing chain solution. And as you can see, this timing chain kit for BMW N20 engines is very, very complex. We offer this kit with many more components than a lot of the other timing chain kits on the market because, again, we looked at this from the repair backwards. So when we built this kit, we didn't look at the timing chain we wanted to sell or the rails we wanted to sell. We looked at how the repair needs to be done on the vehicle, and we set up the kit accordingly. From there, we go to a water pump kit for Porsche vehicles. As many of you know, servicing a Porsche water pump system can be very complex and time intensive. A lot of times you end up dropping the engine. So the last thing you want to do is have to go up in there and change something in the future. This kit comes with an upgraded water pump with a metal impeller, the thermostat, the belt, all the idlers and tensioners you need to properly change everything in the system over. And then we go to our transfer case rebuild kits for BMWs. As many as you know, BMWs now use many more all-wheel drive vehicles in the market than before. These kits, which service all of the X-Drive vehicles, are going to allow a technician to remove the transfer case, open it up, rebuild everything, put it back on the car in a much more cost-effective way than they'd have to if they were buying a used transfer case, rebuilt transfer case, or trying to source one at the dealer. Now, if we could take a quick walk, I want to bring you over to some other innovative products that provide solutions for the market. So here we've got some of the solutions and upgrade parts that Rhine Automotive has to offer. A couple over here, turbo coolant lines. On the OEMs, you'll notice that the T-fitting on them is made of plastic. What we do is when we work with our suppliers, we upgrade that to an aluminum T-fitting that's going to offer a much longer service life. Many of you know the metal Mickey Mouse fitting for popular BMW N52, N54, and N55 engines that solves the problem of the plastic fitting that always breaks off from the front of the cylinder head. We go from there to power steering pump pulleys. We've got 3 different designs right now for BMWs. The original one is made of plastic. Because it's made of plastic, oftentimes when you're pulling it off the old pump to put it on a new one, you end up breaking it. The great thing is with the aluminum, you're not going to have that concern. From there we go to metal pipes for Volkswagen Audi 2-liter applications. Again, the OE pipe is plastic, it's great, but we all know plastic parts in an engine bay are going to break. By upgrading to this metal one, you're going to offer your customers a much longer service life on the part than if you use the plastic. This turbo line here, the OE has a plastic manifold where our suppliers are asked to build it with aluminum and do so. From there we go to this pipe, and here you can see it's made of aluminum. The OE is plastic. Again, the aluminum is going to provide a much longer service life. And then one of our favorites, an oldie but a goodie, is one of our coolant hose elbow kits. This kit includes the coolant hose elbow along with the 2 clamps needed to properly change the rubber hose section of a hose assembly on BMWs that goes from underneath the exhaust down to the front of the engine. The great thing about this is, this you can change in about a half hour. To change the whole assembly, you've got to remove the exhaust, and that can take as long as 10 hours sometimes. I'd like to thank you all for coming and touring our booth with us. Make sure you tune in next year when we're celebrating our 70th year.